Should be okay. We're recording.
Okay. All right. So are there any further questions regarding resolution 2025-031 regarding LoSAP and accepting the certified list from Hyattsville Volunteer Fire Company and from Farville's Bedminster First Aid? Seeing none, take a motion to approve.
So moved. Second. Roll call vote, please. Mr. Stevenson.
Aye.
Mr. Hickey.
Aye.
Ms. Moreski. Aye. Ms. Fernandez. Aye. And Mayor Jacobs.
Aye.
Thank you.
Take a motion to approve the bill list pending review of individual invoices. So moved. Second.
Roll call vote again, please. Mr. Stevenson.
Aye.
Mr. Hickey. Ms. Moreski. Aye. Ms. Fernandez. Aye. And Mayor Jacobs. Aye. All right. Mayor, we do have an item for new business.
So item for new business. So
Business tab.
was that on the revised agenda?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so in the past, we've had asked John to work with I guess with maybe Paul Ferraro, looking at a ordinance to address some unsightly properties in Bedminster. And one of the issues for consideration was the import and deposit of wood chips, brush, and other debris. So what I'd like to discuss is this an ordinance that we would like to proceed with for introduction at our next TC meeting. Ms. Fernandez, what do you think?
Well, Mayor, and I live right by this unsightly deposit center. And I would like to move to, what does he have to do? Introduce the ordinance, yeah. The neighbors and, well, anybody that really drives by is very unsightly for Bedminster. It appears to be changing the grade of the property and it's just constant deposits of wood chips. So yeah, I would like to, everyone in my neighborhood would like to see something done about it. There's a smell that comes off of it. There's sitting wood chips, so water gets in there. It's poses a safety mosquito issue. And it's in a residential neighborhood, having commercial vehicles pulling up all the time to dump mounds of wood chips is also not a common practice for residential neighborhoods. So
there's a brush pile that looks like it's been there for 7, 8, 9, 10 years. I mean, I mentioned I'm surprised that kids haven't flipped a match into it.
And that's not to interrupt, but to jump in on that. I mean, we're seeing that play out in California right now and having uncontrollable fires that just devastates entire communities. That's a tinder box. That you have a property. Think about a drought here, 9 months without water. All that is a location like that has excessive chipped wood, or what have you, dead limbs, dead trees. That's the recipe for a wildfire.
Yeah, and just to reiterate, so in the past we've asked Paul Ferraro, our engineer, Vinny Tamburi from construction, and Susanna from code enforcement. We've also reached out to the county. We've reached out to state DEP, and they all kind of just probably a problem, but they're not going to do it. They're not.
So it's a property maintenance issue.
Yeah.
As opposed to anything within their specific jurisdiction.
I think they do have jurisdiction, but they're just choosing not to enforce. So it does come back to property maintenance if that's an opportunity here. Um,
And we've done it in other zones.
yeah, we've done it with our property maintenance.
And it applies obviously to all properties within zone.
Yeah.
Targeting one specific property, but one specific property could be the impetus for a property maintenance.
Right, and we certainly have looked at similar ordinances before. I mean, Doug and I, I still remember Doug and I being down at the league, and we were at a seminar regarding zombie properties and these
Address those two particular lots and plug them in, that were problematic for years and eventually.
and the one behind the same property behind the gas station.
And then later, of course, the senior zone, we had some issues with private, right? And so, these ordinances have been effective, bringing properties into compliance.
So, Gene, John does have an ordinance ready for introduction. We tabled this once before to have a little bit further discussion. But just as you mentioned, I think it was right around Christmas time. You saw a bunch of trucks come in and just dump mounds
Right.
and mounds of wood chips.
And the beeping is as untimely times of day. It doesn't happen during like regular working hours. It happens at night. Seems a little odd.
Somewhere else.
Yeah.
The contractor, so dumping it, they were.
They were like, because clearly they know they're not supposed to be doing that. So,
We also know that there's blight out there attacking ash trees and no one can tell us why. We have no idea what's actually being dumped and whether you're bringing that infectious problem and exacerbating, we don't know. And it's just that there's a whole host of problems associated with that.
So if we don't need to take it, this certainly, we're not introducing it tonight, but just want to get a consensus. That we give direction to John to draft it and to have Robin put it on the agenda for introduction as an ordinance at our next TC meeting.
We need a tool. And look, we've heard this for years and we've exhausted every other method of trying to stop this. We can't. So, and unfortunately, sometimes these ordinances pit neighbor against neighbor because somebody's complaining about the length of the grass and that kind of stuff. But I think we have to go forward with this because we have no other mechanism to do so.
Well, if I could, I would, talking about this one particular piece of property, when you see where that is, I have this feeling that gives the people who are speeding down Old Dutch Road the idea that they can, because it looks like an industrial park over there with all this garbage. And you don't see that you're coming into a residential area. And I think they might give them the okay to just start flying through the neighborhood.
Good point. Okay. Old business. Utilities. Come on, have we had any outages recently?
Find out.
We'll find out, I'm sure. Just to talk about what we were talking about before, yes, they're continuing to install smart meters, JCP&L throughout the hills and what Bedminster, Mary, you said you got yours, Gina. I got mine over the Christmas holidays. We have received some questions about whether or not those new meters are resulting in higher usage bills. But I suspect that's actually a function of the much colder weather we've had this year versus last. I checked, on average, it's been 7 degrees colder this winter, and that was before last week's polar vortex. So I think that's explaining why people are seeing the usage go up. As a matter of fact, I know you can't see this, but this was actually my bill, and it spiked up, and it's because of the cold. I was going to touch just more in general. I know, folks see JCP&L come to these meetings from time to time, and, it's obviously there's an area of grievances, there's a public shaming, but then people think that's where the story ends, but that's actually just the beginning. There's actually a lot going on right now behind the scenes. You may have noticed, for example, in the hills, there's a lot of digging going on along Hills Drive and in Robertson. That's because JCP&L is installing new underground lines. Those underground lines are a key point of failure in JCP's local infrastructure, and investments are being made to address that issue and also to provide alternate circuit paths.
I think someone with conduit.
That's a little bit of right now, the conduit.
Okay.
Yep, you see those big spools, conduit about that big, that's what it is. You're gonna see more and more of that as the new year progresses. So they recognize that as an issue. Also, and it's funny that we had this outage. You know, they referenced at our meeting last fall, there was a $1.75 million infrastructure project underway at that time. That construction was actually in Bernardsville, which meant they temporarily had to take the substation of there offline. So guess where they dumped all that traffic? There's a line that runs from the Bernardsville substation, goes down 202 into Bedminster, and then continues down Lamington Road to the Greater Crossroads substation. What happened was that put our substation into a suboptimal condition because we're now serving not only our own customers, but Bernardsville's customers. So that impacted performance and reliability all of last year. The good news is that work has now been completed and we actually have greater redundancy locally. Because now if there's a failure on the Greater Crossroads circuit, we now have backup into Bernardsville. So that's basically what's happening now is they're trying to figure out a way. So circuit goes down, can I reroute the power? Can I pull it from somewhere else? Get the customers back up in time. This one was so short, I have no idea what they did tonight. We'll find out. Squirrel. Squirrel. Sorry. I deserve that too.
It was good.
Slowly, but one step at a time. So I just want to give you a heads up on that. I do not have any other utility updates. I don't know if Jason has anything from
PSEG,
PSEG? No.
nothing.
Well, I got
Parking Park Senior, nothing really important. I'll briefly had a Somerset Hills Public Safety Committee meeting last week. Chief Bernardo, Robin and I participated from Bedminster. Believe we had all the mayors. We had Matt Mensch, Kevin Welsh, Mary Jane Canoes, and Mark Corigliano and Janice Fields participating as the new mayor of Bernards Township. We talked again about APLRs, the license plate readers. Frank went through that incident that we discussed a little bit earlier. Also discussed follow-up with the emergency drone services that there was a presentation in Bridgewater. Talked about expanding that presentation to include the other towns as well. And we did talk about drones and mystery drones as well. And there seemed to be a drop in observations, but then a little bit of an uptick in observations as well. And Robin, when's our next meeting?
Our next meeting is going to be on the 23rd.
Okay.
I believe it's February 20th. Sorry, February 20th.
And Robin, did I miss anything from this is one of our quick meetings?
Then Paul Penna on the legislative committee, legislative analyst for the League of Municipalities is going to be coming to the next meeting.
Yeah, so because I think when I talked about this in November, the municipalities was aware of what we had done up in Somerset Hills by getting the towns to work together on these issues, and whether it's doing community outreach as the chief is doing and coordinating that community outreach with the other towns, or coming down to the real physical issues such as APLRs and who's participating in those efforts. So the league asked the mayors from the Somerset Hills Public Safety Committee to sponsor a resolution at the league convention in November. I was unable to participate, but all the other mayors did. And during the league, I came down a little bit later. Paul Penna, who runs the Legislative Affairs Committee, said he'd like to sit in on the Somerset Hills Public Safety Committee. So hopefully, once again, use the term that the chief mentioned earlier, force multiplier. And if we can, get more municipalities engaged in some of these public safety issues, I think that's better for all of us. We do not have an executive session. So we'll go through Township Committee comments and then we will adjourn for the evening. Committee Woman Fernandez.
Yeah, so yeah, I just wanted to comment, Jason, was this your first snowstorm as DPW director?
Yes.
Well, you did a great job. Thank you to you and all the DPW workers. I always like to say Bedminster. You know, when you work in another town, you don't realize how well our DPW does at clearing the snow. So you get to work and you're like, whoa, right? Because it's something that people maybe don't recognize. If it wasn't done properly and well, they would complain about it. But it's something that a lot of people don't recognize. So I just wanted to recognize you guys for a great job on your first snowstorm as DPW. And that's all.
Committee Woman Rescue.
So I have something a little bit different, although we do appreciate Jason and his crew taking care of us. It's been really cold outside. I don't know who's getting outside to do what kind of athletic things they like to do, but Burnsville Library on this Saturday is going to provide a golf course inside the library. It's called A Whole Lot of Fun. It's a mini golf event and fundraiser at the library. It's this Saturday. Family time is from 10 to 4 and the adult time is 7 to 10. There are tricky tray baskets. There'll be beer and wine, some international cuisines from local restaurants and the rounds of golf. Now I am participating because I'm going to start crying. Damn it. I'm a volunteer with the 11th Hour Rescue, and they are a group that takes pups and kitties from kill shelters all down south, and they've got hundreds of dogs and cats, and they foster and they have some kennels. So part of the proceeds from this night will go to them. So I will be there at one of the halls. So come and say hi, and they could use your support. And that's all I have.
That's great. Well, Gina,
Yes.
is this something Rep would like get some details? Sounds like something super neat that we could replicate here in some degree or another.
Sure. I talked to Neil about it.
I can take some pictures and show you what's going on. Not just.
Well, I'm hearing about it, but I'm really interested. And sounds like.
See how it's gonna work, yeah.
It's like mini golf through the
We'll
library.
set them up between the bookshelves. Yep, I have a ticket if you would like to join me Saturday night.
Let me check my calendar.
Check your calendar, I have a ticket.
She's got to watch us there.
We can, or Gina, we can have a couple glasses of wine. I have an extra ticket. You want to come with me for the for 7 to 10? And I'll see what information you can steal, but in the meantime, it should be a fun event.
That's great.
Sounds.
Committeeman Hickey.
I just want to say, and I can't top Gina, she said it beautifully. Thank you, Jason, for all your hard work, as always. Much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to just say thank you to Rob. I don't know, have we done since over here? Yeah, you did a great job with that video presentation. Tremendous, like very well done. It told a nice story. You had a couple of formatting errors, and that freaked you out. It wasn't because of the screen. You know that. You know you had it right. But no, seriously, I thought that was really neat. I think that that's a nice way to sort of summarize the year. Pictures say 1,000 words, and I thought you really did a nice job with that. So kudos to you with that. I didn't need anything because of course I got my paid it on time. So and I agree by not eating. So I hope you guys had a nice time. One thing, it was good. The food was great.
I don't know what they did in catering,
Yeah,
but their catering, top notch.
I missed that. Yeah. Okay. And the other thing I want to say was, I don't want there to be any misunderstanding about something. The fire folks, the rescue folks, I fully support your needs. I'm fully backing funding those needs. My objection was with respect to the other piece of, but we'll leave it at that. That's all I've got.
Okay, I'm just going to mention something real quickly. Last week, the governor signed legislation that changed the Aspire tax credit benefits. Okay. What the hell is that? Well, it's something that you all have been working on for quite some time. So when we're looking at the AT&T property going vacant, this is the AT&T campus. We started looking at, what tax incentive or financial incentives were there to encourage the redevelopment of the site. And one of the programs that came up was Aspire, which is a tax credit program to fill in gaps where there's a great project, but there's a financing gap, right? Perhaps it doesn't make sense. But if it's a good project that the municipality and the state wants to get behind, they'll provide incentives for them. When we looked at the Aspire program, there was eligibility for what's called incentive area for planning area 1, planning area and designated centers in planning within a half mile of a transit system. Now, we are not in planning area 1, we're planning area 2. And while there is proximity to the train station in Far Hills, despite looking at it this way and that way and this way, it's not within a half mile. It's about 1,000 feet short. So it was not eligible for Aspire. So one of the things that we had decided to do is we were going to try to get the AT&T property. This was a twofold approach to get the AT&T property into a designated center within Bedminster, which means we had to expand our designated center. We have 2 in town, Bedminster Village and Pluckman Village. So we worked with the state office of actually the Office of State Planning Advocacy down in Trenton, and we worked with Walter Lane at the county and with Frank Banish, our planner, to expand the designated center for Bedminster to include the AT&T campus. At the same time, we reached out to folks in the legislature because there was some pending changes to the Aspire legislation so that we could get incentive area to mean any designated center. So last year, we did get the designated center, which was endorsed by the State Planning Commission. So we got that done. So it's a designated center. So now